Hello and welcome to your weekly recharge of all the latest electric car news from the team at electrifying.com. This week, we'll be talking about little Hondas, big smarts, record-breaking PHEVs, and getting home charging out of the gutter. And we'll also be answering your electric car questions and dipping into the postbag to find out your views on last week's episode. Welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour. I'm Mike.
And I'm Tom.
Here we are.
We're back.
I know. We haven't been back for ages, have we? We haven't been on for ages. So, yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be back doing the
No,
pod
well,
again.
my single solitary fan asked for me in the comments last week on YouTube. So thank you, Andy Smith 9913, and your wish has come true. I have returned.
Tom is back. We're both back. How long this will last, I don't know. But generally speaking, we get to do it when everybody else is like they physically can't get near a microphone or a computer. So we should make the most of it, shouldn't we?
Yeah. What have you been up to?
Not a lot, mostly driving a desk, but I have done quite a few miles in the long-term Cupra Born that we do have, which depressingly, I got an email from Cupra press office this week saying it's going back soon. So I'm now counting the days. But I was doing some work up at Silverstone at the race circuit up there and going backwards and forwards. And it's brilliant. It's such a great, easy to live with long distance. In fact, it's quite hard writing the long-term update because it just does everything okay and really well, rather, and you sort of you read through, and there's no light and shade here. I'm being like, it was almost reading like an advertorial because it's really good. But it's costing me a fortune this last week because getting to Silverstone and back on a full charge, I'm about 30 miles short. So what I was doing, I was finishing at Silverstone at about 6 o'clock, driving back, charging at 8 on the A34. There's a McDonald's and an Instavolt there. There's a big Shell hub there with it.
I know the one.
I don't want to use them. I think what I can usually do is plug the car in, walk in, place my order, get my burger, be back at the car or eat in, and it's usually added that 30 miles. This time I timed it badly. There was like a school football team arrived and they're all ordering like, one McFlurry ahead of me. So there was this enormous board of, we're preparing this meal. And I put my order in. And obviously, I'd put the car on to charge. I must have been there 20 minutes waiting for this thing, waiting for my order to come in. And when I got back to the car, of course, it was like 45 quid. So it was really annoying. But anyways, I mean, it's a nice problem to have, isn't it? Because the amount of times that you and I have charged stuff up, certainly in the early days, when we'd be sitting there thinking, charging at 9 kilowatts and
you're on your fourth coffee,
and it says 1 hour 30 to 80%, and you're thinking, so it's very much a first world problem, but it's a nice problem to have, isn't it? Anyway, what have you been up to?
Well, talking of long term, as my Vauxhall Grandland, there's been quite a lot to write about, but it's not really the car's fault because I had 2 punctures. But then I went to see my boys are at university in Leeds and parked the car overnight and came out in the morning to a note on the windscreen, which is never a good thing, you'd think. And somebody had scraped the bumper on it, but they'd left me a note. Now, I think this is because it was a rental car and they were going to have to claim anyway, so it was no skin off their nose to add mine to their claim. So it was Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and I rang them up and they said, yeah, well, come and get the car. We'll leave you a car of equivalent value and we'll make it as easy as possible for you. But I thought, no, I better go through the insurance of the fleet insurance for Vauxhall. So I did, and they said, no, we're going to do it with our people. So they left me with a petrol Citroën C3, and then it was repaired, and it's been repaired very well, I must say. But I had to wait an extra week because once they'd painted the bumper, they have to get all the ADAS systems, all the radar and all the cameras and everything else that's built into the bumper reset by a Vauxhall dealer. And there was a bit of a backlog for these things. So I had to wait for a while that was done, which was a little bit irritating and a sign of the times. And I know there's been some discussion on here about all those sort of computer systems and if they actually do you any benefit, but it's astonishing that to get a scrape on your bumper repaired, you have to wait for a dealer to reset all the systems. But it's fine. It's back and it's looking very shiny. Other things, I had a go in the Tesla Model Y Performance.
Oh, what was that like?
Well, it's depressingly good, really. There's a video coming out of Nicola driving it. There are a couple of things that I annoyed me. One of which she kindly says is because of my age, which is that it's got a much bigger screen in the middle, but the type on it's really small. So you have to kind of, especially if you wear glasses, you're like, what's that say? Oh yes, glove box open. No, don't open the doors. No. So that's a little bit annoying. It is, of course, ridiculously fast and faster you could ever need it to be. But one thing I couldn't quite believe is if you look at the leasing costs on those, the performance was $965, I think, a month. And on the same terms, the all-wheel drive long range was like 565 quid. So you think, why would you pay 400 quid more for the performance? You must really need that extra second off the 0 to 60 time, or to just be king of the heap. What was also interesting about it is, I pulled up to a Tesla supercharging station, and everyone's all the other Tesla drivers are looking at you like, not only is it a Model Y performance, but it's the new one. So they looked a bit put out that I'd turned up in this thing. So I suppose, like all these things, everyone knows that their pecking order. But it's very good, and I got used to it, and I got used to the charging, and I just left it in chill mode, which was perfectly adequate in terms of performance, and thought, this is quite a nice way to get around. But my advice is save you 400 quid a month and just have the all-wheel drive, which does most of the things just as well.
It's not exactly a slow car either, is it?
No, exactly. At the other end of the scale, the other vehicle I drove was a Citroën EC3 van, which is a really curious car. Well, van, because it's a Citroën EC3, but they've taken the back seats out. Yeah. And then to make it a van from a legal point of view, they've put some vinyl over the back windows and removed the rear window winders. Now, when I mean they've removed them, they've just literally, it's got old-fashioned keep-fit windows where you have to actually wind them rather than pressing a button. And they've just taken the winders off. And then they've put a bulkhead in, so, between the front and back seats, so you don't get boffed on the head by a parcel when you brake heavily. But that makes it a van. And then you have 0% benefit in kind and all sorts of other incentives from a tax point of view, and they can take off £2,500 for the plug-in van grant. But it's more expensive than the one that's got seats in the back, because obviously they have to pay for the conversion. So it's just, I can see why they've done it, but it's and it's got a 300 kilogram payload. So if there's you and a passenger and you're both, kind of my size, then you think you're not going to be able to carry more than some helium balloons in the back without it going over the payload. It's bizarre. I mean, it was a very strange thing, but it gives me plenty to write about.
Okay, well, shall we look at some news? It's been a busy week, actually.
It has, hasn't it? Well, it's been a motor show.
It's been a motor show, yeah. It's the Tokyo Motor Show, which I think is called the Japanese Mobility Show, but forever known as the Tokyo Motor Show. Obviously, Japan is, I'm going to say, behind the curve with electric, but they've got other things on their mind, haven't they? So, whereas European motor shows tend to be virtually everything is electric and EV. The Japanese, they're still, there's a rotary plug-in hybrid. There was all kinds of weird stuff, but the car that caught my eye was the Honda Super One. Again, they call it a prototype, so it's kind of a concept car. And if you went to the Goodwood Festival of Speed, you would have seen like a camouflaged one going up the hill, and it's basically the production version of that. Now, it's based on Honda's K car, which is a kind of a specific set of rules for a very small car in Japan, but it's been kind of modified for rest of the world market. So it's got a wider track. It's a little bit bigger, but it's still tiny. It's still smaller than a Fiat 500, and it's going to be a kind of a loose replacement for the Honda E. And the UK is the only market that's going to get it. Well, UK market is going to get it first out of Japan. I guess that's a right-hand drive decision. Because Japan's a right-hand drive market. It looks really funky. I mean, it looks kind of sort of big, sort of wheel arches, but also weird at the same time. It looks like it's on like 12-inch wheels, but I don't know if that's because we're used to seeing, EVs with enormous wheels.
22s, yeah.
22s, exactly. So it's on kind of small wheels, which will help the efficiency, of course. I think all we know is that it's going to be less than the Honda E, which isn't difficult, is it? Because that was a 37 grand car at the end. But it looks funky. I mean, I'd like to think it would do okay, but I think those kind of cars traditionally haven't done brilliantly. Were you at Nissan when you bought the Cube over?
Yeah, so I joined Nissan at the end of the Cube, and so we had something. And in fact, they said I got to lease some cars from them as an employee, and my wife said, "I want a Cube. I want a Cube. It's great." And so we had a Cube, and we couldn't wait to get rid of it because although it was very handy, it was fine to drive, all that sort of thing. It became a landmark. So people in our village would say, "Turn left at the car that looks like a fridge," and then turn. And she became known as the funny car lady, and she just couldn't bear it anymore. So although in the first instance it was great, she couldn't wait to get into something normal afterwards. But it was good. But that's the trouble, that it didn't sell. So everyone gets very excited about these things. Yes, you want them, but once everyone who thinks it's funky has bought one, no one else does.
And if you think, I know we're looking forward, not back, but if you think that all those kind of cars that came out in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, like the Daihatsu Move and the Grand Move, and even things like the Hyundai Atos, were incredible value for money if you actually wrote down what they offered for they often came with tons of stuff. But I think that market is quite conservative with a small c in terms of how they want cars to look, aren't they? And they did stand out. So whether that, I don't know. I think Insta probably falls into that category as well, doesn't it?
It does a bit.
It's kind of slightly odd. In other news, good news if you can't charge at home, but even better news if you can't charge at home but are able to park adjacent to your house, because the government are promising and have a legislation underway to relax planning regulations, which means that you will be able to put a gully outside from the end of your property to the road across the pavement under new. It's called permitted development. So it's the same sort of set of rules that allows you to put a shed or a sauna or a hot tub or whatever, in your garden. Permitted development allows you to build certain things of a certain size without having to go through all the rigmarole of planning permission. So the government want to make it so putting a gully in will fall under that. I mean, I spoke to a few people and I tried to find out as well, but I don't know how that works, because you don't own the pavement, do you? Whereas, if you want to build something in your garden, that's okay.
Well, if it's anything like trying to get a dropped curb, which I've tried to do, it's quite expensive, isn't it? So if you got the council to come along and have to wait a year, and then some blokes turn up and chew up the pavement for you, I think it is pricey. Maybe the installation companies will do it. Maybe there's somebody who, if you choose a charge point, maybe it'll be an optional extra you can tick on there of how much pavement you want to dig up.
I don't know, but permitted development doesn't require any form of plan permission. You can go and put a shed up in your garden this afternoon, can't you? As long as it's a metre away and all flammable, all this kind of bits and pieces. But that sort of implies that you could just go out to the pavement with an angle grinder and, it's permitted development. I can just go and sink a cable down in there. So I don't know how that works. It seems to have gone from one extreme to the other, where it would be an enormous amount of paperwork, to the Wild West, where you can just start. I don't know. But it is good news, but. You've lived in town as well as I have. When I lived in Twickenham and didn't have any off-street parking, I parked outside my house probably 3 times in a year. That there'd be a space there, and it was just good fortune, isn't it? So I don't know quite how that would. It's not going to be the fix for everybody, is it?
You'll get lots of people putting their bins in the space, won't they, to reserve it, like happens. You see that in towns, don't you? People like that. Or if you're moving house, you have to put cones and a wardrobe and all sorts of things.
There's going to be a lot of people buying cones, aren't there? That they're going to slightly look official. So there we go. Anything else caught your eye this week, Tom?
Yeah. So the Smart #5, we've got prices. I think it looks pretty good value. It's 39,800. And yeah, that car, I really like the look of it. I saw one driving up the M1 with somebody in a high-vis jacket, so presumably delivering it somewhere. I thought it looked great. It's kind of a Merc, but a bit less murky. But it seems to have all the same bits. I think it'll be a really nice car, that one. But of course, it's very big for a Smart, so you probably don't like it. But
I've got one coming in tomorrow. I've got one, tomorrow, Monday. I've got one coming in on Monday. And I'm quite excited about it because I put that story out with the images and I thought, I quite like this.
Yeah.
And
I
quite like the new electric Smarts. I've got no kind of worry about them not being like the old cars.
What was really interesting is I think if you're a bit of a car geek and you're on the motorway and you see just in the distance some tail lights and you think, I don't recognise those. What's that? And it's going to be something new and interesting. The Smart's got new and interesting tail lights and the headlights as well. But it's like, oh, something new.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Smart aren't doing great, are they, in the UK? I mean, my dad bought a #3, which he loves. He really loves it. He really likes it. But he says I've seen one other, and he thinks that's the dealer demonstrator in his area. In his area, he doesn't live in the middle of nowhere.
Seen one? No.
When did you last see the #3?
I don't think I've ever seen one on the road actually, except for the ones we've had
or a
on
one
test.
for that matter.
Oh, well, no, the one you see, there are a couple of ones in my village, including strangely, one was having some Smart repairs done on it in the street when I was walking the dog, and I thought, I hope he doesn't get dog hair on the repairs. But that was because it was a lease car that's going back, so it must be at least a couple of years old now. That #1, isn't it?
Old, yeah.
So
there you go.
Somebody's actually getting another car. Yeah, so yes, they haven't been. The roads aren't awash with them, are they?
No, which is a shame because I think they're really good. I enjoy them. I'm really looking forward to a week with the 5. So yeah, it's good. Anything else?
And talking of Chinese cars, there's two newcomers, I suppose, two new brands who come out with plug-in hybrids, which we're always a bit about plug-in hybrids, but these are interesting because the Chery Tiggo 9, which is a daft name, of course, has a 91-mile electric-only range. Now I think about my old Leaf.
That's more than my i3 has, and that's
yes,
electric.
Exactly. And it's a 7-seater, so that's good, and it's good value as well. But then there's the BYD Atto 2 PHEV, which they haven't given many details of, but it's going to be the smallest plug-in hybrid. So it's it's like on the Jazz sized, and everybody else just does hybrids for that. But this is a plug-in hybrid, and since plug-in hybrid sales are going through the roof at the moment, it's I presume something we should get reasonably excited about for once.
Okay, we'll try. Yeah. And speaking about being excited, Barnard? We need some
Barnard's bargains.
Finally, we have Barnard here for Barnard's bargains.
Yes,
which is what a treat.
Well, I'm going to go Chinese again because we can open a discussion about this. But I was looking on the thing, and there suddenly are lots of Omoda E5s. Now I don't know where they've all come from. Are they ex-rentals or something? But there's one, for example, it's on a 25 plate, so 6 months old, 6,300 miles, 22,999. Now, if you think that the new price of that car, because it's a noble spec, is 34,565, that's a big chunk off, isn't it, for 6,000 miles in 6 months? Now,
it is.
That's going to be. If you're getting it on a lease, if you're getting it on a PCP, I presume you don't care about the depreciation. But if you're looking at buying one and you've lost that amount of money in the first place, it's like, ooh, ow. Yeah. Now, I do have a theory on why these cars are depreciating so much, these Chinese cars.
Go on.
It's the shape of the number plate surrounds. There are two Omoda E5, 5 and an E5 on my dog walk. And it was the same on the Funky Cat. That obviously there are some holes in the boot lid where the Chinese number plates go. They've got like screw holes, and they have to cover them over. So they put these plastic number plate covers or mountings on, and they look terrible. There's got to be a better way than that, because I'm not going to buy one until they've sorted that out. I think MG's had it for a bit, but now they fixed it somehow. But yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, in
I know,
Germany, you always have number plates around. Oh, look terrible. So next time you look at a Moda E5 and see the number plates around, see if it annoys you too, or is it just me being stupid?
It's the opposite to Tesla, isn't it? In so much as their plate carrier isn't tall enough, is it? So the number plates tend to be cropped. And yes. I checked on the regulations. You're supposed to have something like 20 millimeters of white above the top of the. This is so anarchic. 20 millimeters above the white of the lettering on the number plate. But so many Teslas, you see the frame is almost touching the tops of the characters on the plate, and it looks terrible because there's a great big thick. You think this is probably something. There's a decision made by an importer, isn't it? Just think, do you know what they'll do? They'll be fine. Just it's an extra €3 to get the right size plate. Well, let's not bother with that. It's only a £50,000 car, so that's not. But that would bug me. That would bug me so much. An odd-looking plate like that. But then we're anorak, so we're probably too far down the rabbit hole to read.
I was relaying to my neighbour who has a Kia from Ken Brown Motors, and I said, I'm not sure I could buy a car from Ken Brown Motors just because it sounds like a bit Arthur Daly.
Sounds like John Shuttleworth character, doesn't it?
Yeah. But didn't you buy a BMW motorbike from Park Lane just because you wanted Park Lane on the number plates?
I didn't buy it just because of that. No, I bought it. No, I bought it, and no, it was the i3 that had the part. No, I think the bike did as well, didn't it? It was only because I'd bought I was going to buy it, and I mentioned I just mentioned to the press office that I was thinking about buying one of these, and I don't think I didn't get the GS, the BMW, the motorbike at a better price, but I got it quicker than I may have done if I'd been. So apologies if you were waiting for a GS in 2006. I did jump the queue. But yeah, I did.
But you had Park Lane on the number plates.
I had Park Lane on the number plate. In fact, my i3 has Park Lane on the number plate as well, for the same reason. But so yes, a Ponzi number plate. But I
No, I do the same. Absolutely. Okay, so I've got another Chinese car bargain.
Okay.
So in the leasing. Yeah. At the moment, I just look through the leasing things like, oh, well, that's not bad, that's all right. But there's one deal at the moment which just goes, hang on a minute, is that right? To check, which is MG S5 EV, which is, it's a nice car, isn't it? Well, we all like that.
Yeah.
So 24-month deal, 8,000 miles a year, £2,000 down, $227.99 a month.
That's good, isn't it?
I mean, that's I thought like the Renault 5 was cheap at 209, but go up to an MG S5 EV, that's a lot.
And that's a new car. That's not a car that's 3 years old, 4 years old. They're trying to prop up volume with. That's that came out last year, didn't it? Or early this year, I can't remember. But it's it's a proper full size family SUV, isn't it? That is good. That is good. And while we're on the subject of MG and IMG specifically, we had a fun day at Chobham at the test track, Longcross, the old test track. We went back there a month or so ago and produced a series of shorts on the MG IM, the MG IM6 and the MG IM5. And you can find those on the YouTube channel, and it just shows you how all the various different systems on the cars work. So like rainy night mode and crab mode, all these kind of like words, all these things are just words when we sort of say them, but this shows you what they actually do and everything. And it's a fascinating car. It's absolutely packed with tech. So if you want to learn a bit more about the MG IM5 and MG IM6, head over to our YouTube channel and you can find them.
And you can see us being very excited about being back at our old filming.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Right. What else have we got coming up, Tom? Should we answer some questions?
I think we should answer some questions, yeah.
Otherwise, we're just going to run out of time, aren't we?
We are really, yeah. Shall I do the,
do you want to start?
One from Laura Bonetto, I think, probably.
Bonetto.
So my local council held an EV event in summer. Lots of static cars and stalls, but crucially around a dozen EVs to test drive. There were different brands present: Tesla, Kia, Volvo, Mini, BYD, XPeng and Porsche. I drove 4 EVs on the day and thoroughly enjoyed it. More councils should consider hosting such events. Please welcome me to the world of electrifying of EVs. Welcome, Laura, as I finally took the plunge and bought a used Genesis GV60 Premium. Absolutely loving it. Thank you for all your excellent videos. More of Nicola and Batch, please. Made me properly laugh out loud.
Well, that's nice, isn't it?
That
That's
was nice,
probably
yeah.
a great used buy, Genesis GV60, isn't it? Because
It is, yeah.
it's a bit punchy new price-wise, but it's got loads of kit on it. So, and it's one of those cars that slightly flies under the radar, isn't it? We don't often mention it, but yeah, I reckon that's probably a cracking buy. So, yeah, welcome, Laura. Thank you very much. This is all good. Tom Sampson from email, podcast@electrifying.com says, I've been listening to the podcast for a few weeks now, decided to take the plunge and switch to an EV. I'm waiting on the delivery of a Renault Scenic Techno 87 kilowatt hour, switching from a Cupra Formentor VZ2. I'm sure there'll be lots of learning to do when it comes to an EV. I was originally looking at a 52 kilowatt hour Renault 5 Techno, but went for the Scenic because it was £20 cheaper at £325 a month. With maintenance at the time I agreed the deal. 3 years, 7K a year, and a 3-month initial down payment. So hopefully got myself a good deal. I say that sounds like a cracking deal, doesn't it?
Yeah, with maintenance as well. That's that could normally sort of adds 40 quid a month to the. I remember doing the sums myself and thinking, well, how many tyres do I get through? How much is a service? It just takes all the hassle out of it, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. No, that's. I think you've got a very good deal there, Tom Sampson. I hope you enjoy your Scenic.
We've got some buying questions.
Excellent.
First one from Charlie M. So thank you for your interesting podcast. We're looking to buy a family SUV, perhaps secondhand, budget up to £25,000 to £28,000. However, I don't own a smartphone and I don't really want to buy one. I'm happy wearing my tinfoil hat and my brick phone keeps me away from screens. Will my primitive phone cause problems when I try to set up cheap home charging or use public chargers? Is there a car manufacturer that's more sympathetic, in tune with Luddites like me? One that makes a good car I can recommend to my partner without restarting the whole just get yourself a smartphone conversation. Thanks.
That's a good question, isn't it? That's a really good question. I don't think there's any one manufacturer that's more sympathetic to that. There are simpler electric cars. And when I was reading this, I was trying to work out how much you would be compromised by not having a smartphone. So you wouldn't be able to set up your home charger particularly easily, would you? No. You could run it from the car, because if I think when my home charger packed up and the Wi-Fi module packed up in it, I had to rely on setting the timings in the car to take the charge rather than. So you could do that. That's not beyond, is it? You could manage that. And I was thinking most public charging, Tesla
just
accepted.
Tap
your card, so you'd be fine with that. I think you could do it. You would end up paying more. That's what I would say. But whether or not that's the price worth paying for not having a smartphone and being, free of screens.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? I mean, you could do it. I mean, often if we're just getting in a car because we're testing it, I won't even link my phone to it. So that's. But there are things like if you go back to something like a Volkswagen Enyaq, that wants a smartphone to connect if you want sat nav and things.
Yeah.
So my advice would be to just get a smartphone.
No, you see, that's his decision. I'm not going to override Charlie's decision. This decision really, because I think that's what he wants to do. He wants to manage without it, and I think it's my friend who's just bought a BMW i3. She has an iPhone 6, which so it might as well not. It's so old, it doesn't even count as a smartphone anymore. It literally makes calls, and she can send text from it. So that's. That would be interesting to see how she gets on with that. But I mean, she doesn't want any kind of the smartphone integration at all. I've been trying to persuade her to at least set up the connected app so she can turn the heating on. You can't turn the heating on, can you, if you've not got Charlie?
No, unless you've got a timer. You do it at a timer, so you'd have to go out to the car.
You could do it on the timer as well. Yeah, you could do it. I mean, there's a lot. You'll be very familiar with the ins and outs of the infotainment system on whatever you buy. But I can't think of any one manufacturer that's better than another. Other than if you go the Dacia Spring and things like that are a bit more basic, but sometimes they're even cheaper ones rely on the connection even more, don't they?
I mean, thinking about this Tesla Model Y that I had, because it doesn't have CarPlay.
This is true.
You don't connect to it. So I you can play Bluetooth, so I could do some podcasts and things via Bluetooth, which felt a bit old-fashioned because I wasn't going to connect up my Spotify and my other apps to the
No, because
which owners would do. Yeah, I'd have to disconnect it when I gave the car back after a few days. So, so maybe a Tesla, which is actually among the most sophisticated of the cars, or something else with a Google operating system like a Renault 5. Would work reasonably well on its own.
That's a good point because Ginny's Renault 5, Google and everything, you would log into the car and not necessarily use the CarPlay, but it would still, because it's your same Google account, all your searches and destinations would appear on your phone as well because they'll be synced if you're signing into the same account, won't they? So that is a good point.
It's kind of cheating though, isn't it? Because that's like a four-wheeled smartphone.
Yeah, with screens. So I don't know how that figures with you, Charlie, but it's an interesting question. I was intrigued when I saw this because I thought, that's a man who wants to stick to his guns and obviously clearly doesn't want to give in to getting a smartphone. It's probably got a whole life. He probably goes out and does things. He probably doesn't waste hours and hours.
Yeah. And we talk about range anxiety in cars and how it's great now because you get cars with 400 miles range, but our smartphones are getting worse. My old Nokia 3310 would last a week without charging, and now I have to charge my iPhone in the middle of the day if it's going to make it through to the evening. So
I once worked for it. I worked for a tech magazine at the time that the smartphone and the iPhone was coming out, and we used to get letters rather than emails back then, saying it's a fool's errand. Why are you bothering to give this the time of day? Because people aren't going to charge their phone every night. Don't be ridiculous. Phones last 4 or 5 days without any charge. If you think that people are going to stop and plug in every night, you've got another thing coming. So there you go. History has proved we were absolutely, people are quite happy multiple times a day now as well, not just sort of having to charge them up overnight, are you? So it's there we go.
Shall I do Nigel?
What else have we got? Yeah, do you want to do Nigel?
Sunderland, yeah. So we currently own a 4-year-old MG ZS EV exclusive, which we've owned for 6 months. It's done 7,100 miles and we average 70 miles a week. We now have to do 2 journeys a month for approximately a year, with each round trip a total of 600 miles. So less frequent stops are better for us. The dilemma is should we trade in our present car for a long-range model SUV with around 275 miles, etc. SUV height is better and a quality car would be nicer. Our budget is around £18,000, including the above as a part exchange. Or should they keep their existing car and rent a car every month for the 2 long journeys?
Again, that's a good question, isn't it? I mean, we should point out that their MGZ EV is 45 kilowatt hour. So that's what's that in real terms range? 120 miles, something like that.
Probably like that, yeah.
Probably a bit less in winter. I can understand the dilemma. It's not like you can't be bothered to stop and charge up because you said you'd rather not. Less frequent stops. So I know that would be a lot of stops, wouldn't it, if you're doing those longer distances? So I don't know. I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, there are plenty of.
If it was just like for Christmas, I would say rent a car. That's an entirely sensible thing to do. But renting a car every month is going to be a pain unless you're next door to Hertz, basically.
Yeah, that's every 2 weeks, renting a car, going through all that paperwork. It's just, that's misery. Don't do it. No.
Or what those zip car, isn't it? That's quite easy. But if you haven't got access to those, then don't do it. No. So I think he's got to trade in, hasn't he?
I think you're probably looking at trade. I mean, there are some really good cars around that 18,000 mark. I've found a new shape Hyundai Kona. They're just creeping under that 18,000 mark. That's a big 65 kilowatt hour battery. You'll really notice the difference in range there, and it's efficient. It's a good car. It fulfills your height requirement, and it's tricky when people say brand or that it needs to be a quality car, because I don't know where you draw the line these days, because Hyundai and Kia, I think they're incredibly high quality cars. So it depends on your perception of what a high quality car is. But you've got an MG, so I'm presuming you want something of similar stature. So I would say that Hyundai or Kia would, or if you want an even bigger battery, an earlier Volkswagen ID4 Enyaq, Skoda Enyaq, which we obviously legally obliged to mention every week, no matter what people want. They're both 77 kilowatt hour cars that are under that price bracket. I think 275 miles real world range is a challenge, would you say?
Well, the one that occurred to me for a used car is a Tesla Model 3. I mean, it's not high up. You could go Model Y, I suppose, but you could easily get a Model 3 for 18,000. And the charging setup for them, I was just reminded how nice it is that you just turn up, reverse, plug in without having to tap any cards or anything, and it recharges at 200 kilowatt. And a few minutes later, you've got another 100 miles of range. And if charging quickly and without hassle is your priority, it's got to be that, isn't it?
This is very true. Yeah, I mean, that was me talking about the preconditioning for the Cupra Born and what a great feature it is. Of course, Tesla owners are sort of like smirking into their tea at this point, thinking, "Well, okay, welcome to the future," because they, as soon as you program the supercharger site into your Tesla, it starts doing the battery stuff, doesn't it? Which is why it charges quickly and efficiently, and all you got to do is plug it in. It knows it's you. Can't it? I mean, it's so slick, that system, isn't it? It would be nice if it was replicated across other brands, but there we go.
Yeah, well, you see it in press releases.
Yeah,
you see it in press releases now, don't you? It's like it's got this, it's compatible with Smart Charge or something. You think, well, get on with it, because Tesla have done it for at least 5 years, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm just looking, Tom. Unless you're going to go sort of category S or anything, then the Model Y isn't quite at that level yet. But not far off. There's one here for 19,700 quid, 60,000 miles. So yeah, a couple more months, it'll probably be another registration change. And I reckon that'll be under the 18,000.
Yeah. Plenty of Model 3s though, aren't there? 18 grand.
Yes, there's plenty of Model 3s. Absolutely. Right, I've got time for one more, haven't we? Alan College says, help needed, please. I'm looking to replace a Skoda Kodiaq diesel with an EV. An ideal car would allow easy access, as I'm 78 years old and not particularly flexible. Comfort and smoothness of ride is more important than range. I live on the Isle of Man, so journeys seldom exceed 30 miles. I have a dog who goes in the boot, so an SUV vehicle would be ideal. My budget is around £25,000. I've been in a Kia EV3 and I found it's a good car, but at the moment they'll be outside my budget. However, a pre-registered MG S5 EV, second mention for that, has now fallen within what I can afford. Now, here's the problem. He's on the Isle of Man. Unfortunately, there isn't an MG dealership here, so none are available to test drive, and I've wondered how having no access to a dealership for servicing would affect the warranty. Thank you for your great work and humour, Alan. So yeah, what do you think, Tom?
Well, I did a quick check of what dealers there were on the island, because I think there are rules around the warranty, aren't there? So you can have it serviced somewhere else, and as long as they use MG parts or whatever and do it to the full specification, then the warranty would still be valid. But if something did go wrong and you need to get it done under warranty, you've got no chance, have you? And I'd want to test drive a car, and if I had to go get a flight to go and test drive a car, I think I'd be put off. So I would say, don't worry about the MG in this instance if you can't get one there. So I had a quick Google of what dealerships there are on the Isle of Man. And there's a Porsche dealer, which I'm sure is very nice for them, but on a small island like that, it's essential. But that's probably out the price range. There's also Nissan, Suzuki, and there's a Seat dealer and a few others. But I thought the Nissan one might be interesting, because an Ariya, I think, would be quite a nice car for that.
Yes.
You go and test drive one. Warranty's no problem. There is the new Suzuki eVitara, which I think we've been a bit meh about, but it's an SUV and it's fine, isn't it? I think the range is a bit short, but if you're only doing 30 miles a day, then it's not an issue. And it's got a very long warranty. I couldn't really think of any others. No Seats now. I don't know whether Cupra's an option, but even then,
I wonder if that would fall under the same category. But I don't think a Born would be SUV enough for if he wants to carry his dog around. I think it's a love. It's kind of a slightly tall hatchback, isn't it? Much as I like it.
No, I didn't notice that there was a Skoda dealer on the island. I couldn't find one, but presumably there is if he's got a Skoda Kodiaq diesel. But of course, there are plenty of nice Skoda SUVs there. Rock, Enyaq,
Yeah, you got to say it, Tom.
I know. I think there's also a Ford dealer, so maybe an Explorer, not the Capri.
An Explorer or a Mustang Mach-E. Does that count as an SUV?
It probably does. I've forgotten about that car.
There you go. As does everybody. Yeah, there's one that lives locally. It just reminds me if I didn't see that most days, I would probably have forgotten it as well. But yeah. So
should we finish off with a couple of silly things? So you were talking about the Hipster, I believe the Dacia Hipster.
Yeah, I like the Hipster. It was good.
Well, yes, this is the point. So D-Warm C says all the designers at Dacia have been recalled because Mike likes the Hipster.
Yeah.
So you as a gauge of cars normally means it's going to be a failure, doesn't it, Mike?
I have the kiss of death on cars. If I like it, then generally. Did you hear that? That's my heated mouse mat going. That's my heated mouse mat going off, which I expect yours might do as well at some point. So, I have the kiss of death on cars. If I like them, they tend to absolutely bomb. So I bought an early Smart, I bought an Audi A2, had an A class. So yeah, all these cars that manufacturers have tanked billions of euros on. So the fact that I like the Hipster probably does mean it's going to be canned now. So there we go.
And David Hall 4079 has some lanyard love. So he said, love the channel. It helped my wife choose her first EV on Motability. So thanks. I've just got to ask how many lanyards Ginny has got hanging on her door. So for those of you who watch on YouTube, you might have noticed that Ginny has a stash of lanyards hanging from a hook. And perhaps we need to do a competition of guessing how many, and she'll maybe send one to the winner, to the closest.
Yeah, I mean, for the uninitiated, every time you go on a car launch, you get a lanyard. Sometimes multiple ones in the same launch, and generally they don't want them back because they're probably still single-use plastics, and they don't want to have to try and get rid of them. So they hope that as a journalist you'll keep going with them, take them all the way to the airport and wear them on the way home. But one does end up with quite a large collection of these lanyards. But I don't know. Yeah, that'll be a good one. I think Jenny does, like a minimum of one launch a week. So she must be collecting like 50 a year, and there's probably quite a few years of collection there. But don't know. Yeah. Do you keep them, Tom?
I've got a few actually. Yeah, I've got 4, but I give them to the kid next door who's really into his cars, who gets very excited when he gets a Moda lanyard or something for his collection.
No, mine get dumped at the airport that I'm leaving from because I don't want it to be a UK recycling problem, so I always dump it at wherever.
I think there's a reason they do. I think in Germany, somebody told me that for tax reasons they have to prove they've gone to the event, so they have to keep their little plastic cards in case the taxman inspects them.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so over getting anything from launches. I just, I used to, squirrel stuff away in drawers and stuff like that. And no, not anymore. But I'm like, it's a good memento of things, isn't it? When you find them at the bottom of a bag, you think that was a good launch. Yeah. So I do.
Or using them for filler, if you've got to fill some
grouting or filler, holes, they're perfect. Because if it's got a nice radius on the corner, it's good for grouting. Anyway, if you are still listening, thank you for putting up with us two rambling on about cars and other things
and gutters,
and gutters for the half an hour. Yes, if you're watching this on YouTube, please leave a comment. Try and make it so it isn't about, can we not have these two blokes ever doing this again? And if you're listening to it on one of the podcast apps, please give us a review and a score, a rating, because it all helps with the algorithm and getting the good word out a bit further. So if you have been, thank you for listening. And if we're ever allowed back, we will see you next time. Bye.
See you next time.